So recently, I've been getting a lot of questions on my videos and in my streams on what settings do you use and why do you use them. And I've been playing this game since beta now, and I've tailored my settings for the last maybe 2 years. I've had my settings be the same. I've rarely changed anything. Maybe I'll tweak my sens every now and then. Maybe I'll tweak my video settings every now and then, but they have been the same. My keybinds have been the same for the last 2.5 years, and I'm gonna tell you guys what they are. I'm gonna show you guys my settings because a lot of people have been asking. People want to know why as well, why I use certain things, why I have certain things on, certain things off, and why I think these are the best settings to have. I'll give my opinion on that as well. So let's get into it. Let's go into the general. Enemy highlight color, I had this on yellow. I just not changed it. I used to have it on purple. I find yellow a little bit easier to see, even with a yellow crosshair. I think maybe I just like the color yellow. That fits right with me. This is very personal preference. I would definitely recommend having it off red and either having it on yellow or purple. One of those two. Again, just personal preference there. Sensitivity, I use 800 DPI. I have an Xtrfy MC1 mouse. This mouse is very specific towards fingertip sort of wrist aimers, mainly just fingertip grip aimers overall, and it's a very hard mouse to use in a low sense. I would say if I'm playing other games like Overwatch or Warzone, I have to use a different mouse. I use my Logitech G Pro, but for Valorant, this mouse is perfect for me. It's just perfect with how I like to play. The sensitivity is perfect. Sometimes I'll lower it to 0.4. I did try 0.37, so lowered it by a whole one. There's a video out on my channel doing that, and for a while you know, I had more consistent aim, but I couldn't get used to it. So this is the only sense that I really feel sort of works with my aim. It's just perfect for me. Again, sensitivity is one of those things where it's personal preference, and if you want my advice, if you want my opinion, lower sense is always better. If you're just starting out and you can get accustomed and used to lower sense and arm aiming and this stuff, go with lower sense. It's just something that is very personal preference and is the exception but not the rule. So don't play on high sense if you're not already playing on a high sense. Trust me, it's not worth it. Just stay consistent, play low sense. Anywhere between, if you're on 800 DPI, that is 0.3 to 0.4 should be fine. I've seen people go even lower and use 0.2 or even stuff like 0.17, you know, on 800 DPI. That's just way too low for me. I don't think I'd be able to even make any 360s or flicks or anything like that. Scope sensitivity and ADS, keep that on 1. And raw input buffer, you want to keep this on. Find that it helps with the raw aiming a lot better. So for my minimap settings, these are my settings here. I would recommend having it on fixed, because that way the map doesn't move around when you're playing. It's just in one section like that. But personally, for me, I prefer having mine on rotate. It's just kind of what I'm used to, and I don't know. I like having it on rotate. All these other settings here are all sort of fairly personal preference, other than what you want to do. What you want to make sure that you do is turn show mature content on and turn corpses off, but keep on show blood. This is very important, especially for Sage players and people who don't like a lot of clutter. You don't want to be able to see the corpses. You just want to know, you know, where a body's died, for example, and then if you're Sage, you can obviously alt res. It's a lot easier when there's like dead bodies stacked upon each other. And blood as well. If you're shooting through a box, if you're shooting through this box, for example, if you have blood off, you're not going to know if you've hit someone, if you've headshot someone. But if you have blood on, you will see the blood sort of splatter. So it's quite useful to have that on. And that's it when it comes to sort of general settings, other than a lot of people like to turn the show spectator count off. I have it on. I'm a bit weird where I like to have that pressure. I want to know that 4 people are watching me in a clutch so I can sort of prove myself, if that makes sense. But a lot of people can't deal with that pressure, and if you are one of them, then I'd recommend turning it off. But I keep it on. I like it. In terms of controls, I'm not going to go through each and every one of them. They're all, I want to say, fairly unique. There's probably a couple of people that use the same sort of keybinds that I use, but this is how I have my abilities. So C, Q, I have my thumb button, mouse button for my dash on Jet, for example, and I have my ultimate, which is F, because I have my all chat as X and my party chat as T. So some people might find that a little bit weird. Again, it's personal preference and just something that I'm used to. It's just how I play the game. When I first started, I couldn't get used to the default keybinds in Valorant. I couldn't get used to moving and being able to move fluidly with these keybinds. So I changed it up, and this is what worked for me. Obviously, default movement mode, you want to keep this on run. Walk, I have it as control instead of shift. I have crouch as shift. And again, this is just, I've done this in every single game that I've played. I'll have crouch as shift and walk as control. It's just something that I do. Obviously, a lot of people will have it the other way around. I swap them. It's just what I'm used to. And I have jump on mouse wheel down, and I recommend doing that as well. I never use spacebar to jump unless I'm playing jet and I'm hovering. Never. I never press spacebar. I'm always jumping with my mouse wheel. Just for movement, it helps a lot. So those are my settings there. Equipment wise, I obviously, because I use mouse wheel down to jump, I just change my guns with 1 2 3 4. I recommend that you do the same there as well. Pretty standard over here. Aim down sights I have on hold. I prefer being able to hold and let go. I don't like the toggle. Toggle's weird. Don't do that. You want to hold. Other than with the operator, I know there was some controversial topics about this a while ago, where some people were saying that you want to obviously hold with the AWP. But I did use that for a while. I didn't like the fact that I had to press a different button to zoom in, though. That was the only thing I didn't like about it. And toggling just makes it easier, because with an AWP, you're going to be holding an angle for maybe, you know, an entire round potentially. Whereas with a rifle, you're only ADSing in certain moments, right? Like if I'm coming through here, maybe I'll ADS here for a little bit, just hold this angle. Okay, I'm moving. Right? If I'm AWPing though, I might be holding this for maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 seconds. You know, maybe I'm holding for my team, so my team can push. I'm holding the flank, or I'm holding this, and then, you know, if I'm the duelist pushing up with a Vandal, maybe I'll look at it for a few seconds, move forward, a few seconds, move forward, a few seconds, move forward. I think ADSing is very useful, but you don't need to have this in toggle. You're constantly then right-clicking instead. So just hold it, let go, hold it, let go. So that's my settings for that. Again, personal preference, but that's what I prefer. Communications is the same as well, and pretty simple stuff. Now for crosshairs, I'm going to have all these just link down in the description so you can import them. These are all the crosshairs that I use. I change between all of them every now and then, but this one has been probably my favorite to use for the last sort of year, especially with this res that I've been using. Just look, this crosshair, it just looks so great with this resolution. But I have lots of different crosshairs as well that I sometimes change between. Obviously, if you're not having a good game, it's good to change certain things up, whether it's just movement, whether it's crosshair, whether it's anything. It's good to try different things. I used the dot for a while, but honestly, if you're trying to practice your one taps and to stop shifting, I would recommend putting a dot crosshair on and going into DMs and turning your shift key off and just running around with a dot crosshair tapping one heads. That's the best way to practice tapping. But yeah, I'll have these linked down below. Moving on to video settings, and this is what I get asked a lot. This is most of the comments. I say 90% of the comments are, what is your res? You know, why do you use this res? You know, what is it? And I use 1280 by 960. It's a 4x3 res. It isn't true stretch res, so keep that in mind, because I know there's a few videos out there explaining how to get true stretch res. Use a third-party software, use some things, right? This is just Valorant's res itself. Now, I've been using this res for maybe a year and a half, and I didn't like it when I first used it. The only reason I first used it is because apparently some pros were using it. Okay, I'll give it a try. I didn't like it. I went back to 1920. Actually, I was using 1680 by 1050. I went back to that. I didn't like it. Now, I've been using it so long that I can't switch my res. I can't go back. Because if I go back, it just doesn't feel right. I've tried many times to go back to 1920 by 1080 or 1680 by 1050. I can't do it, boys. I can't. 1280 by 960 is goated, even though it's not true stretch res. And I know that, you know, if you want to get true stretch res, there's videos out there you can do that. But I just like the way it looks. That's literally it. I like the way it looks. I like the stretch look that it offers. And I do have I did change my resolution settings on my actual monitor itself. It's a ZOWIE 240Hz monitor. I changed the actual resolution on this itself as well. So it does even look more stretched res. You can't see it because it's not in the video. I can see it with my eyes, obviously. Maybe I'll post up a video off my phone or something to show you guys. But it's different. I've changed the res on this as well, so it looks even more flattened down. And I just like the way it looks personally. It's like some people have the video settings on the video color settings, and they'll like how that looks, even though I don't believe it really affects much. Because Valorant's already quite a light game, to be honest. Like, it's not that dark. There's shadows, but if you turn them off, it's not that dark. It's still quite a vibrant game. But a lot of people like to add that vibrance. They like the way it looks. I hate how that looks. I just don't like it. It's really gross, and then you have to like turn it off when you're not playing Valorant. Ew. But yeah, that's the reason behind it. That's why I use it, believe it or not. It's not because it gives me necessarily any advantage. Maybe it does, you know, subconsciously give me an advantage compared to using a different res. I don't know, it's a placebo, right? A lot of these settings and a lot of the things that you guys will think will help you improve, and the reason why you're searching for these things is that you think that it's going to make you improve at the game, but a lot of the time it's just a placebo. It's like I was saying earlier, changing your crosshair mid-game. You know, a lot of people will play better when they change their crosshair mid-game. It's just a placebo, boys. It's not real, you know. But maybe this is another placebo thing that helps with me. I just like the way it looks. I like how it looks in-game. So, yeah, moving on. The NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency. If you've got an NVIDIA GPU, this has to be on plus boost. A lot of people have said that for anything past the 3080, you want on. For anything below the 3080, you want on plus boost. I'll be honest, I've got a 3080 Ti. I haven't really fucked around with these too much. I had a 1060 Ti before the 3080, and it doesn't really matter. If you're having problems, buy either a better CPU, as it's a CPU intensive game, or buy a better graphics card. Just upgrade your PC. Simples. And again, multi-threaded rendering you want on. It helps with the GPU and CPU cores, and everything else I personally have on off. All these I have on off. The only thing that I have on is anti-aliasing, and I have times-X on this, and I have bloom on, which helps with the color scheme. That's literally it. It makes them pop a bit more, makes them a bit more vibrant, looks a bit nicer in game. The VFX look a bit nicer. That's literally it. I have everything off, and look how much FPS I get. I get around anywhere from 700 to 800 FPS, unless there's a very intensive moment where it might drop down to 400. But as long as it's enough, as long as it's above 300 for me while I'm streaming and recording, that's enough for me, to be honest. And if you're struggling with performance, you've got a really bad PC, or you're using a laptop, then obviously there's other things that you can do outside the game to help you improve your FPS. I might even make a video on that if you're struggling with that. But ultimately, I think that if you're getting above 300 FPS on Valorant in game, that's really more than enough, to be honest. I think you're pretty good there. And that's it. I have the client FPS on, so I can see it, so I can see if when I'm streaming or recording if there's any issues with lag, and I have my ping as well, because I have really shit internet, so I need to know whether or not I'm lagging or not. And the only other thing that I have on is HRTF, which was terrible when it first came out, but is now actually pretty decent, and helps with the sounds and stuff, helps with stuff like raise nades, viper mollies, all, you know, effects, that kind of stuff. And that's it. These are the settings that I've been using forever now. They work for me. Like I said, every now and then I might change, you know, my crosshair and find something that works a bit better, you know, that I prefer. Maybe I'll change my sense again, you know, but I doubt it. I think I'm pretty comfortable on this now. Maybe I'll change my video settings. Who knows, you know, as Valorant's always releasing new things, new settings, more options, you know, maybe we'll get to a point where you can get true stretch res in the game, for example, or there's other settings that you'll be able to change. I don't really mess around with the third-party stuff too much, just because I like the sort of raw game. I like to be able to hop off my PC or hop off Valorant and still be able to use my PC without having to change settings back, for example. So yeah, you know, if this video helped you, if you want to copy my settings, or you want to take some of my settings and keep some of the ones that you've already got, you know, they're down in the description. You know, you're more than welcome to do that. And yeah, if this video helped you out, gave you more of an insight on what high-level players, you know, sort of use their settings, and what we think, or what I personally think is the best settings, at least for me, then let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let me know how this helped you. But thanks for watching. Peace out.